Hey babes, I'm Marisa and this is Balance in Bloom, a safe space where we connect with Black women and celebrate how they are balancing life's demands while blooming into their full potential. Today, I am honored to sit down with a true artispreneur, Kaya Nova. Kaya is a singer, songwriter, writer, and digital strategist who has built an incredible career off of balancing and blending creativity with business. As the founder of Grown Media, she has created a thriving digital space for Black women to learn and grow, and as well as working with some of the world's most well-known brands and sparking multiple viral conversations online across platforms, Kaya is all about using her voice to uplift and inspire. If you're here for a word on taking up space and owning your worth, let's get into it. Hey Kaya,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. I'm good. A little sleepy because I've been doing a lot, but I'm good. How are
She's
you?
booked and busy. I'm okay. I've had a morning full of calls, but all of them have been really positive. So I'm happy
That's
about that.
good.
And I can ease into the rest of the day. I say ease, I'm about to do the most at the gym in a minute, but it is what it is.
Love
It is
that.
what
Love
it is.
that.
Okay, I'm going to jump right in and firstly get started on Grown Mag. So you built Grown from your dorm room to a platform that reaches 500,000 accounts monthly. What motivated you to create the digital space for Black women?
Yeah, basically, I was just a college sophomore that was soon to go home for Christmas break. Like over here, our Christmas breaks for college are like so long. It's like a month and a half. So I was like,
Mm,
I don't know what I'm going to do with all this time. And I just kind of started writing. I've always loved writing personally. And yeah, I just like started something on WordPress and just kind of kept it going. And my dad was the one that was saying, like, there's not a lot of outlets for women your age. Like, you should maybe have your friends write on this with you. And he put the bug in my ear, and I listened to him, and I soon had like just some of my friends writing on the site with me. Very, you know, probably not the best writing skills back when we were like 19, but whatever. Like, we were just saying what we wanted to say, and it just became something that I really enjoyed. And as it grew and more people were writing, we've had women from different countries write on Grown. It felt like something, even when it became a lot to manage, that I like couldn't let it go because there were too many
mhm,
people that were coming to this space to feel safe and feel seen. So yeah, honestly, I didn't have any plans for it to be what it is now. I've just kind of like, as it's grown, I've grown, and hence the name. And
mhm.
now we are where we are.
First of all, shout out to your dad. We love that he,
Yes.
gave you that advice. And was it always called Grown from when you started it on
It was
WordPress?
not. When it first started, it was called She Unplugged. And I don't even know how I came up with that name, to be quite honest with you. But it was supposed to be this like reference of like girlhood, uncensored and unplugged
Got
and
it.
just, out there. And so after a while, when I felt like it was time to just refine it a little bit, I wanted like a one-liner name, like most magazines have. And it's like one
Hmm.
syllable and it just
Yeah.
like rolls off the tongue easily. So that's where the rebranding for Grown came from. And it took like so much. It sounds so simple because the name is like, oh, duh. But like it took me months to find the new name. Like I didn't know what the new name was going to be. I was writing down all these different names and then it just like hit. And I was like, oh, duh. Like this should have, like, I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. But
But it's
yeah,
like
that's how
that.
it is.
No, I get it. Branding is not easy, especially like
It's,
it has to encompass so many things. That one word has to encompass so many facets of you and your audience and all of the
mhm.
things. So I get it. I get why it took a little while. So I read that you're expanding your board of directors. What kind of leaders do you envision shaping the future of the brand?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I think I'm in a period of my life where I am asking for help openly.
Mm,
I think I have gotten grown to where it is really just by trial and error without any real guidance or mentorship onto how to like really develop a digital publication. And I think with the political climate that we are dealing with, it's really important to protect Black media outlets
mhm,
and to make sure that we have a really strong point of view on things. So I'm really hoping to bring on directors that can help, of course, with our marketing and our branding, public relations, that can help
Mhm.
with our overall editorial and content strategy, and even with our event productions, because events have recently become something that's been pretty successful for us. So really just people that can see the big picture and hold me accountable as I try to
Mhm.
like help us get there.
I like what you said about openly asking for help. I feel like a lot of people find it hard to ask for help, but I feel Black women who have this kind of pressure on them almost to be everything have
Yes.
difficulty. So I love that you're saying that, and I love that you're leaning into it. I would say that I'm also in that season as well. So go us, go us.
Yeah.
How do you balance authenticity with the demands of running a media company in a fast-paced digital world?
Ooh, honestly, I can say that I'm a bit privileged in this space because Grown is such a reflection of who I am, who I have been, who I want to be. I feel like under this brand, I get to be my most real self. And I feel like anyone that works on our team feels the same way. So I don't ever feel like I have to sacrifice authenticity to do the work that Grown requires.
Hmm.
So I know there's some founders that maybe your brand feels like a more polished version of you, or you have to kind of like have it together. Grown, I feel like I can come to I've come to some of my team meetings with a bonnet on, or I've been camera off, or I've been like, y'all, today is not it. Can we talk for 10 minutes and then everybody go do what they have to do? Cool. Like,
Hmm.
I have been able to do that. And I think with the content that we're hoping to do more of, we're trying to provide women the space to do the same. Like even with our digital
Hmm.
cover shoots, like we want our cover stars to feel like this should reflect you. We want this to be about you. So I think we're just really trying to nail down that any version of your Black womanhood is enough at a space like Grown.
Hmm. Hmm. And would you say that you always you showed up in this way from the beginning, or have you grown into your authenticity, if that makes sense? Like you've been more comfortable being that way?
Oh, definitely. I had to grow into it. I consider myself like a late bloomer in
Mm.
like self-confidence and just self-advocacy and all of those things. I think I've always led with being a people pleaser for like 90% of my lived experience. I'm always like
Hmm.
giving myself over to what makes other people comfortable. And it really was not until like my late 20s and turning 30, I turned 30 last year, that I was just like, wow, I don't care anymore. Like, I'm really
Hmm.
starting to not care. And that freedom has allowed me to, I feel like, finally step into my personality. And that's a bit sad because I'm like, why is this happening and I'm 30? Like, this should have been happening at
Mm.
like 18. But now that I'm a bit more secure in who I am, I feel like I can direct Grown better and the rest of my life, honestly,
Mm.
because I just care less about making mistakes in front of people or people not understanding who I am. Like I don't care as much about that. I still
Hmm.
care a little bit, but not as much.
No, I hear you. And do you think there's something specifically about turning 30, or was there a specific incident that made you think, hold on a minute, I'm not doing this anymore?
I think a mix of both. So like
Mm.
the 30, I was still terrified of turning 30 because like it's the end of my 20s and I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna be older. No.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of feelings about that. And then I turned 30 I felt so empowered in a way that I was
Mm.
like, oh my God, like this feels way better than my 20s. Like I feel like you did all the big things. Like, the career is making sense. I have my one
Hmm.
bedroom. I had the things that like in my 20s, I was like, I need to do these things. And now I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
we checked the big things off of my list. And then I'm not gonna lie, this is a little personal, but last year I also went through like a breakup.
Mm.
And it wasn't even like a huge, long, super long relationship. I had newly started dating seriously. And then I met someone and then eventually decided that it wasn't the right fit. But I do
Hmm.
feel like there was a part of me that was waiting on what a relationship was supposed to feel like. Like I didn't
Mm.
date seriously in my 20s. I was focused on work. And then I felt like when I made the decision to seriously date and then I met the person and in my mind I was like, yay, now another thing I checked off my list. And then it was not what I thought it was going to be. And I was like, oh, I've been
Oh, yeah.
waiting all this time for this.
Mm.
Okay, well, if that's what this is supposed to feel like, we can kind of take this off the list for now. Like that, I was just like, oh, that's not okay. Well, I'll just go focus back on some other stuff, and it kind of just like supercharged the energy that I had to like
Mm.
work on myself and the things that I wanted to do. Like I'll get back to the romance when I'm ready to, but I do feel
Hmm.
like there was a part of me that I was like holding hostage, waiting for like this great love, and then when I like
Hmm.
saw that it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be, I was like, okay, let's move forward and do something else. So
No, I hear you. I hear you. Do you feel like the list that you created was a societal list, or was it actually personal to you?
I think it was both. I think it was like my response to society and response
Mm,
to how I've seen society treat Black women and how I've seen Black women in my life be treated by life.
hmm
And I think in my brain, I was building this list to like protect myself from all of these like outcomes that could happen to me being a young Black woman that had a big dream. So I was like, yeah, we're going to hold off on dating. We're going to move to a new city. We're going to make a certain amount of money. Like all of these things that I felt like were my way of protecting myself.
hmm
And now I think I'm like on the other side of that, of like setting goals that are truly what I want to do and
Yeah.
not necessarily based in that kind of feeling. But yeah, I think so. That's kind of like a mix of two things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I would also say that the isolation periods that we have are so beautiful. And we only probably
Totally.
realized that in hindsight. Maybe you realized how
Mhm.
important it was after that relationship ended
Yes.
and how much you were able to like redirect that energy and attention to yourself. So I think you're in an amazing position right now. That's all I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
say, girl. So your new song, Out Loud, is all about knowing your worth. What was the
Mhm.
defining moment that inspired you to write the song? Is it connected to what we were just speaking about?
Actually, no. Out Loud is a very old song. I would say it's a few years
Mm,
old. I think this was coming to the end of my college dating experience,
right.
and I guess realizing how I don't necessarily want to say given myself away, but I think again going back to me being this people pleaser, I think I entered everything from the stance of like, well, how can I make you feel comfortable? Like, what can I change about myself that's going to make you feel better about anything? And you get older and you realize like, oh, I don't have to do that. Like, it's okay if I meet someone and they think I'm a little annoying or they think I talk too much or they think, like you don't have to put on this, let me be the absolute best version of myself
hmm
or pretend to be someone else in order to be
hmm
treated well. And I was like, the song was really grounded in like, I want someone who like wants to put the effort in as soon as they meet me. Like, I don't want you to have to like wait years or like spin the block. Like as soon as you meet, you're like, yep, she's worth the effort and let's do it. Like that's really what that song is about. And it's kind of like, really giving my younger self the permission to approach life that way.
And you said this isn't a love song and that it's finally about you knowing your worth. So,
Yeah.
how would you say music helps you reclaim your power and tell your story?
Ooh, I don't even know if I know how to answer that because music has just been so a part of me. I've never like seen music separate from myself. It's always
Right.
been there. It's always been something I've been allowed to pursue and do. Thankfully, my parents allowed me to say I want to be a musician and they were like, "All right, girl." Like they never said what's your plan B. Like that's cute, but you can't
Oh.
do that for a career. So I never grew up thinking that music wasn't something that was supposed to be this important to me. So it's always been my vehicle to tell stories and to express myself. So yeah, again, I don't know if I've ever thought of the moment when it happened or how it started. It's just kind of like always been
Been
there, if that makes
intrinsic,
sense.
yeah. It does make sense, and you mentioning that your parents never really asked for a plan B, that's definitely very helpful. I'm so grateful that I have parents who are the same way. But speaking to my friends or just, what I read in general, it can be a struggle for some. So we're
Oh,
definitely, well, in a privileged position to have that kind
yes,
of support for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. Has your relationship with self-worth evolved over the years? Like, from what you've been saying, yes, it has, both as an artist and as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I think once I started to realize, things weren't happening to me by mistake. I don't think I like really accepted how good I was at certain things. I always was like, oh, well, this must be a mistake, or I just got lucky, or like, who am I
Mm,
that these people are listening to me or they care about what I say? And then over time, it's like, no, because you're good at this. Like you've been doing this since you were a child. You've been honing a craft for so long. You've been building a brand for so long. Like it's
mhm,
not by mistake that these things are coming your way. So I had to really learn to ground my self-worth in I've done the work. I know what I'm talking about. And it's okay to let that be seen and not be this super humble imposter
mhm,
syndrome. Like, oh
mhm.
no, maybe I did that. Like, I guess, like, like that was me when I was
We're
younger.
past
And
that.
now it's just like, yeah, let's just walk in the room and be like, yes, this is mine. I know what I'm talking about. Let's have a
Hmm.
conversation.
Yeah. And what are some of the grounding techniques you use?
Ooh. Lately I've been finding that I kind of like pivot back and forth from being delusional about something versus like
We love it.
just fully being in action about the thing. Because I realize there's some days I wake up and I can't be delusional. Like I literally get in my little Cancer woe is me bag and I'm just like, this is never gonna happen and I don't know. And on those days, I lean into action. I'm like, I may not believe it, but I'm still going to finish this pitch deck. I'm still going to send this email. I'm still going to go to the gym. I'm still going to do the
Mhm,
things, even if my brain is not connected to it.
mhm,
And then it's also vice versa. The days when I'm like, I don't have the energy to do anything, sometimes I'm like leaning into the feeling like, okay, but we can still say positive things. We can have hope. We can
mhm.
do whatever. So like on the really powerful days, those two things sync up and I'm delusional and in action. And that's when I'm like, I could do anything, but like
Yes.
mostly I've had to learn to give myself grace that it doesn't always come together that way. But when in doubt, like at least do one thing towards whatever it is that you claim that you want.
Uh-huh.
Like you could do one little thing today, and that's more than you think it ever could be.
Progress is progress. And it sounds like
Hmm.
what you were describing was like almost on the days that you said were ideal, is like a balance of your masculine and feminine energy. Honestly, because masculine
Mm,
energy is action oriented, let's be practical. And then the
yes.
feminine is, ethereal. She's in the 5D, she's thinking of all of the things. So I love that you have kind of got that synergy going on there. You call yourself an artispreneur, someone balancing
Yes.
art and business. What's been the hardest lesson you've learned in managing both?
One, it kind of goes back to something I've said before of just like feeling valuable as an entrepreneur, feeling skilled,
Mhm,
feeling like I know what I'm talking about. You enter so many rooms with other founders and all of these other experiences where people talk about entrepreneurship, and it's like usually it's a lot of men, and then if it's not men, it's usually a lot of white women, and they're
mhm,
or it's just it's people that are selling things that you're not selling. That have a background that you don't have. I didn't go to school for
mhm,
marketing. I didn't go to school for business. I don't have an MBA. Like all of these things and I really had to come to terms with the fact that my creativity still allows me to own a business and be good at it and take pride in it and want to, speak on those things. I don't have the whole, founding fundraising story, like seed be found, like, all the things that people say. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
I don't even know, like a publication, digital media platforms, we can't enter the race the same way as someone that's like selling an app can, like, so I
Mhm,
had to like find a different way to feel comfortable about what I was creating and really just lean into the fact that Grown started because I first am a musician and because I love art
mhm.
and words and all of that. And if it wasn't for that, I would have never started Grown. So like that's my founder story. And that's important. That's cool. Like I
Of
can
course it
still
is.
like talk about that. So yeah, I've had to sometimes get used to being the only person in my lane, and it can be a little lonely. You don't have as many examples to learn from, but kind of turning that feeling into something empowering and letting that help me navigate this space.
And you're inspiring so many women as you do, and I'm sure just people in general as you do, because there always has to be that one kind of person who leads the way. And
Yeah.
obviously, that's you, girl, that's you.
Oh, thank
And going
you.
back to what you said about like it's not happening, it's not an accident, this isn't coincidental.
Hmm.
You were chosen for this, and you're doing the damn thing. So here for it,
Thank
here for it.
you.
No worries. You've worked with major brands like Tidal and the Jennifer Hudson Show. What has been your most surreal kind of, I can't believe this is happening kind of moment?
Oh, oh wow. Okay, I have to think. Well, it was when I was doing social media work with Title. That was actually a lot of fun. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed working with Title as a brand, and it was like fun. I can say this. I feel like it was fun because like around things like Jay-Z's birthday or like Beyonce's birthday, we would always
Hmm.
go into like planning mode of okay, what are we gonna do? We don't want to be like too much about Jay-Z, but we want it to be about Jay-Z. Like it was like all of these
Yeah,
things that were just like it was just so cool to like do work surrounding these artists that I'm like, what are we talking about? They're asking me about what I can create to celebrate Beyonce. Like, yeah, like I love Beyonce. Like,
yeah.
so that I think like being able to work with, a streaming service like Tidal, then I also got to work with Amazon Music from the
Hmm.
side of creative marketing, which is again a field that I didn't even think I could be successful in. It was so much like one getting to work with all of these like cool celebrities, but then also seeing my two passions come together and it finally makes sense. Because
Hmm.
I don't even think a few years ago I could say, hey, I want to be a musician and then also do social media strategy and then also have my own publication. You know, like teachers would have been like, girl, I don't even know what to tell you about that. Like that doesn't even make any sense, you know. Like so to like see it organically come together
Yeah.
was definitely the moment where I was like, oh my god, like this is really possible. Like yeah, but
Hmm.
title was definitely such a highlight and a joy to work on for sure.
Yeah. I've got a question. Do you feel like you actively kind of sat there and manifested this, or was it this thing where you just, because it sounds like on one hand you didn't believe it was possible, but on the other you're like, well,
Mm,
I can do it. So how did
yeah.
it all come about?
Yeah, I feel like my manifestation is it is not a perfect journey at all. Like,
Mm,
I'll make a vision board, I'll make a list, I'll write it down. This is going to happen. This is what I want. And then, like 2 weeks later, I'm like, this ain't going to happen. I don't know how, like, so I am so like up and down with
yeah.
that. But I do think that, again, like how we both grew up in homes with family that let us dream, like, I
Hmm.
think that was the first and the biggest manifestation that could have ever happened because that seed was planted so early. So even in
Hmm.
my doubt, even in my ups and downs going back and forth, because I've always believed this thing since I was like 4, like there's nothing that's going to shake my connection to that, which is
Hmm.
why I'm always encouraging people like let your kids be artists. They don't need, they might not do it as a real career, but like they need to know as early as possible that it's okay to dream that big and that they're supported.
Hmm.
However
Hmm.
that turns out, I do feel like it's been a mix of me manifesting things, my family manifesting things for me. But all in all, like I said before, it's that balance between being delusional, being in action about it, doing all of
Hmm.
the things and seeing it come to life. But there's recently for sure been some moments where I was like, I vividly wrote this down. I know I wrote this part
Wow.
down somewhere. Then there's some things where I'm like, I didn't even think this could happen for me. So I think it's both. Like you have to make room for the manifestations and then the
Hmm.
things that can surprise you.
Definitely that part about making room. I think one step that some people may skip in the manifestation is, okay, you've done the vision board, you've written it all down, you've done all of the things, but now you actually need to get into a position of receiving.
Yes.
Instead of thinking, okay, I've written it down, I'm just going to put it over there. No, we need to be in a mode of receptivity and be like, I
Mhm.
deserve this, I can get this. So, yes, making space is definitely important. So, many creatives struggle with packaging themselves into a niche. You've rejected that idea. Why do you think it's important to embrace multidimensionality?
Yeah. Well, I will say that when I first started, I was a bit more niche centered. And I think that's also the beautiful part about like letting yourself evolve. You'll change. Like there was one period in my artist journey where I was like, I am Shaka Khan reincarnated, and I'm gonna have big hair, and I'm gonna like do a 70s esque theme in my outfit. Like it was a whole thing that was happening. Thank God, none of those pictures exist anymore. But there was a moment where I was like, this is my package as an artist. Like I am this like 70s soul train artist kind of
I
thing.
love it.
And and I had to like over time realize that I can pull from these inspirations because I still do. I still love the 70s. I still love classic soul, but I don't
Hmm.
have to be this like literal interpretation of it. So I've found kind of like a nice resting place in paying homage to the things that
Hmm.
inspire me, but I don't need to put on the Party City 70s costume and get on stage. Like I can make a song inspired by the Isley Brothers and not, like you
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
you gotta find that line. But I also think that that was a part of getting comfortable with myself. Like getting comfortable with the fact that Kaya just looks like Kaya. Like this is what my face looks like, this is what it's
Hmm.
gonna be on the cover art. That's the end of
Hmm.
the conversation. Like it's so many things when you are hyper visible that you just struggle with accepting, and it's so much easier to put on the costume, put on this persona, just be this person that is completely not me. But I realized that I am the most comfortable and I make the best music when I'm myself.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of like just kind of get used to that and just be okay
Hmm.
with that. But also again, I'm always going to be a reflection of the things that inspire me, just like in my own way.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if that it's obviously to do with growth. It's still always going to be under the theme of growth at this point because I feel like your magazine is just a reflection of your life. It's just like you said, those are the words you actually used. But do you think it was an age thing that took place at the same time as you accepting like, "Look, this is who I am. Okay, take it or leave it. This is what it is."
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm really happy that Grown started when I was a sophomore in college because that's when I had all of this in your face creative energy. I didn't want to just do something simple. I wanted the colors to be this, and we're gonna,
Mm,
like you just have all of these things you think make sense when
hmm
you're like 19, 18. And even starting my artistry, really honing it at that age, I had a lot of loud in your face ideas. And then with age, you kind of like, you don't necessarily water them down, but you're like, okay, I see what you were trying to do back then. And
hmm
this is how we're going to refine it. It's going to be the
Yeah,
same thing, but just a little bit more
a
polished,
little refined.
a little refined. It's not a rebrand. We're just like, we're molding this. And I think that's been the most fun part is being able to mold that ambition now that you
Hmm
have like more skills, a little bit more funding, you can
hmm
put some, maybe hire somebody to make the logo and not you making it on Canva, like
Yeah,
like just little things like that you're
yeah.
like with age you just know how to shape it a bit more. But then also when you're younger, you have the big ideas. Like it's easier for you to feel like this thing can happen. So I'm able to kind of pull into the both of those moments in my life.
hmm It sounds like you had such a balance of things, like you're pulling from here and you're pulling from there. One thing I do want to ask, because you've spoken about your family being a wonderful part of this process, would you say the same about your friends? Have you kind of kept some of the same friends from when you started in the dorm room, or, what's that
Oh
side
yeah.
of things looks like?
I'm still very close with my college friends. I went to Spelman, and I'm still very close with all my Spelman sisters. We have
Hmm
many group chats to this day. And I think again another blessing that I've had with my friends is like they've always gotten it from the beginning more than I ever have. Like to this day, if I'm
Mm,
out with my friends and we run into someone, like they'll introduce me in a way that I will never introduce myself. Like I was like, hey, I'm
I
Kaya. They're
love
like, no, no,
that.
no. This is the Kaya Nova, and she does
Yes.
it. And I just be like, y'all, please, like I
It feels
I
like they're
don't.
doing too much, but they're not, because it's the
They're
truth.
not. They're not. And like they are so excited about the things that I'm doing, and
Yes.
like they've like literally always been on board since I was doing shows back in college. So again,
hmm
like I feel like I've just been blessed with such a supportive group of people that even when
hmm
I don't see it or I don't feel like it's possible, they're always like, "Girl, what are you talking about? Like, of
hmm
course you're supposed to be doing this. Like, next question."
Right.
So.
Thank you. Next. I love that. This is what I love that. I keep seeing these posts around, being around winners so it doesn't feel like you're gassing yourself up or it doesn't feel like you're speaking too highly of
Mm,
yourself. That is so important. And I'm so happy that you have that. I'm so happy that you have that.
yeah.
I want to just talk a little bit about social media and storytelling. So you've sparked many a viral conversation across the different platforms. How do
Yeah.
you use social media as a tool for impact rather than just visibility?
Yeah, I think like many things in my life, I tend to start things not knowing the impact that
Mm,
they're going to have. And then when they start gaining a certain amount of impact, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to steer this ship a little bit more. And social media was exactly the same thing. I think with Twitter, I, started writing again pretty soon after college, or I think maybe my senior year is when I started using Twitter a bit more. And it was very random posts of mine that would go viral, and I was just like, I think this is just the internet doing the internet thing. And then after a while it just like kept happening, and like my friends were noticing it, and they were like, I just saw like one of my aunts on Facebook like posted a tweet that like it got to a point where I was like, oh, okay, like what is happening? And even with that, it took me a while to just say like, well, maybe it's because like you are like a gifted writer, like you know how to turn big ideas into like
Mhm,
small, digestible little phrases that people can see and feel something. Like I did not have that aha moment for a very long time.
mhm,
And I think once I started to realize how much my words are being shared, what people were saying, how it was making people feel, there was a part of me that was like, okay, I want to be responsible now with the things that I was saying. I've had some really random, sometimes silly tweets go viral, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I want like that to be the thing that people know me
yeah.
for. And so I have been more mindful of that. I've been mindful of avoiding certain conversations where I feel like this is just going to attract a lot of like negative responses. And I don't feel like
Mm-hmm.
arguing with people today, like not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily limiting the things that I believe in or holding back, but it's just more so like, do I
Does it
want to spend
align?
my day?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't like that feeling. I've done it before, and I'm like, I don't like the way that that actually makes me feel. And yeah, I still get shocked by when I see celebrities engage with my content. Like Scissor recently
Yeah.
reposted something I wrote, and I was just like, oh my
Yeah.
God, like what is happening? Yeah, so it's I've seen the goods and the bads of social media, but one thing I'll
Mm-hmm.
always be grateful for is being able to build a platform just off of generally like good things,
Mm-hmm.
like and just
Mm-hmm.
saying positive things and people really relating to that, like that means the world to me. So that's why I have
Yeah.
such a love-hate relationship with social media because it is powerful and it does connect
Mm-hmm.
people and the community is there and it can really change people's lives. So
For sure. For sure. So what's the part that you dislike about it? Because you said you have a love-hate
oh
relationship.
yeah. Yeah, I do. Again, like I really enjoy just how quickly you can reach someone. Again, like when you see a celebrity retweet something you wrote, and I'm like, girl, I'm a 20 something, like trying to figure not crash out today. And like whatever I said is resonating with you. It's kind of like this whole human experiment. Like you come to realize that
Mm-hmm.
like we're all human beings going through different lives, but like have so many commonalities. And
Mm-hmm.
if there's something that I'm saying in my point in time that Chrissy Teigen, because this had happened, that Chrissy Teigen is
Mm-hmm.
retweeting this with her lavish life, then like maybe we're not all as different.
Yeah. Yeah.
That will always blow my mind that there's people that I think are so much more successful than me who are still like, yeah, girl, I feel the same way. Like I get it. And that will always be the thing that I love about social media. And what I try to ground my platforms on any of these apps in is like, what is that connective tissue between all of us? What are these
Mm-hmm.
stories? Like, how do we tell stories that really bring everyone together?
Relatability.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that authenticity, that relatability. Like, I really like to lead with that when it comes to social media.
And in terms of what you don't like, I'm assuming, well, you spoke to the negativity that comes with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you ever take
And also, oh,
detoxes?
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, that's a great question. I did at one point like deactivate all of my social media. This was like a few years ago, and I was like off the grid for like a few months, and it was so peaceful. I do recommend people taking breaks away. I think it's hard because one, having grown, and then I have, my day job. I work at I'm a senior social media manager, so I'm like social media
Mm-hmm.
is my job at, to an extent. So even when I unplug, I'm never like fully unplugged.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think it's very important or you're even just thinking about how much you're scrolling, as much as we love TikTok and we love these apps. Like some days when I'm not on my phone, I recognize that I feel a lot better about myself. I'm not
Yeah.
having conversations about myself in my head until you get on a platform and then you
Mm-hmm.
see somebody and you're like, oh, well, why can't I have what, and you start doing
Yeah.
the thing. So I really do think breaks. I try to do this also on weekends, like a DND, leave my phone in the living room,
That's
especially
nice.
before bed, so I don't wake up randomly and start scrolling. Like all of those things have helped me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you definitely have to give yourself breaks.
Mm-hmm. So earlier on, when I asked you about, or maybe I didn't use this phrasing, but about routines or maybe rituals that you have, it sounds like your nighttime routine may consist of just getting rid of all of the screens so you can actually sleep. Is there anything else that you do at night or anything that you do in the morning to help you?
Yeah, I've recently become a skincare focused girl. I again have
We can
been
tell.
gifted. Oh,
Skin is skinning, girl. It's glowing.
thank you. No, but honestly, I've tended to have pretty easy maintenance skin. Like my
Mm-hmm.
mom has great skin. Like I didn't grow up having to deal with a lot of issues, but I do know that I was not taking care of it either because of that. Like I would just be like, man, I'm not about to do no 5 step routine. Like what? And then recently, because I've been working a lot, I've noticed like I've been starting to get like dark circles under my eyes and like
Mm-hmm.
just random hyperpigmentation spots. And I was like, okay, let me do a little bit more. And what I've found is that I enjoy the process of having time with my face. And that sounds
Mm-hmm.
weird. It really does. But like for
No, I
someone
understand.
that grew up like really not liking the way that I looked and like finally coming to peace with like this is my face. Like this is what I look
Mm-hmm.
like. And just those little moments of like you like washing your face and like doing the things, it like really gives you this moment to really appreciate yourself and really
Mhm.
what you look like in the most bare form. So I don't know, that's like super deep. Like people are like, girl, I'm just trying to get rid of fine lines. It's not
No,
it's
it's important though. Like mirror work, speaking affirmations to yourself in the mirror, but
yes,
actually
yes.
just looking at yourself and being like, you're gorgeous. And by the way, you are. When we first got on
Oh,
this
thank
camera, I
you
was
so
like,
much.
she's so pretty.
Thank you so
Yeah, I
much.
love that. I
Thank
love that
you.
you're like pampering yourself in this way as well,
Yeah.
almost. That's kind of probably the most superficial thing about it. All of the deep things that you've referenced there are very, very important. So I don't find it weird at all, just so you know. Back to the social media and storytelling, your words have been amplified by major publications like the New York Times and Essence and so on and so
Mhm.
forth. What does it mean to you to have your voice recognized at such a large scale? I know you spoke to, the celebrities and how it makes you feel like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, but do you still have those moments?
Oh, every day. Yeah, every day. Anytime I see it somewhere that I'm just like, what is like it happens to me all the time. I've never gotten like used to it or feeling like, oh, okay. Like
Hmm.
it's very special to me. And I think when I see, of course, publications also participate, it also kind of weirdly makes me feel even more purpose in the work I do with Grown because
Hmm.
you just spend so much time when you're starting something feeling like I'm not the right person to do this. Like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have any skills. I don't I don't know any of
Hmm.
this stuff. And when you see other people with the skills recognizing what you're doing, even if it's something as little as like retweeting your tweet, sharing it on their
Hmm.
Instagram, or writing a whole article based off of it, it's like, okay, like I may not have had gotten the skills traditionally, but they're still doing the work. And like at some
Hmm.
point, like you really do have to like give yourself over to what your community is showing you. Like they're saying like this matters to us. We
Hmm.
trust you to do this thing. And like you have to trust yourself. Like if people are saying this and showing you, like at some point you have to like give yourself over to that responsibility. So yeah, it all just like really makes me feel like I ended up in the right place with my life,
Hmm.
basically.
Hmm.
And it helps me like just want to keep inspiring people that have non-traditional dreams and want to do these really big things and don't really know how. It's like sometimes you don't know the how. You just do the work and you just stay authentic and the rest of it is
Hmm.
not up to you. The rest is going to do whatever it's going to do. But yeah, like it still really means a lot to see people engage with it.
What you just said there sounds like you're leading by faith and not by sight. It's kind
Yeah.
of like, don't worry about the how it's going to happen. You know the why, you know that it's
Yeah.
purposeful work, so you're going to keep going. And something else I want to point out, because earlier on in the conversation, you said at one point it's like, I'm not going to be humble about my gifts and all of the things I
Yeah.
can do. But something about what you were saying there, you still have that humility intact, not so much to do with your gifts, but to do with your reactions to seeing, people with large platforms recognizing
Yeah.
the person that you are and the opinions that you have and all of the things that you do. So that's really nice that you have been able to stay grounded like that. And that's probably another reason why people are so probably drawn to you, because it's like
Yeah.
you still have that humility intact. You've spoken about rejection and perfectly timed yeses. How do you stay grounded when things don't go as planned?
Nothing goes as planned. I'll be real. I don't even know if I've ever experienced anything that went as planned. But I think this also goes back to being an artist so young because
Mm,
I have always been exposed to creating something out of nowhere, kind of giving yourself over to an audience of people. Like I've been performing on stages since I was a kid. And like you don't know what those experiences are going to be. Like you don't know if people are going to care. You don't know if you're
mm,
going to sound good. I've had some horrible experiences in my life performing on stage. Like I think I've always been at the whim of creativity. And I've always understood
mm,
that like if there's something that I want, I'm going to have to find a little corner for myself to do the thing that I want to do. So as an adult, like, even though it is so hard, it does not mean that any of this comes any easier. But my
mm,
brain has already been wired to be creative. So the way that I
mm,
approach challenges, I'm always like, all right, well, how do we figure this out? Like, this is terrible. Like, we gonna cry for like, let's cry, let's get it out. But then after,
mhm,
you got to come up with a plan. And so and again, that's always why I encourage creativity and allowing people to be creative because it is about so much more than you becoming a famous singer. Like, yeah, we love that part. Like, but it's also just about like your brain just operates differently when you know that creativity is an option. And I think like that's how I've always dealt with the roller coaster ups and downs of everything. Because at this point, I've seen myself get through enough that I'm like, I'm not gonna say there's nothing I can get through, but I'm pretty confident that most things
Hmm.
I can come up with a plan to get out of or deal with. So,
Yeah.
yeah, the creativity has really been like my saving grace in all of this.
Hmm. I love that. That is such a wonderful thing to be able to say. And just out of interest, this has nothing to do with the questions I had, but you've spoken a lot about your creativity. Do you feel like that other side of your brain is active as well? It must be if you've been able to run this brand for the length of time you have. And I think, did you say you're a strategist?
Yes, yeah, I do
Yeah.
social media strategy and honestly a lot of project management lately. And this is also why I am a champion for people exploring different working environments and styles because
Mm,
it was 100% my corporate work environments that gave me the other side a lot more, like
mhm,
the rationale, the strategy, the planning, all of
mhm.
that really came from working in these spaces where they live by spreadsheets. And I don't like spreadsheets. Like just finding different ways to organize creativity were not skills that I had. I think
Mhm,
I've always been a nerd. I love school. I've been good at school. Like I love learning things. So like I've always been slightly interested in it, but like organization did not come until I started freelancing and when I was like 23, 24, around that age.
mhm,
And I had to learn how to manage my own time. I had to learn how to send invoices. I had to learn how to do all of these things on my own. And again, in being in corporate spaces, we know that the cons of corporate spaces, like I understand fully, but there's also the other side of it that really sharpens you. Being around all these different minds and having to challenge ideas and having to do all of
mhm,
that really did help me learn how to not just have an idea, but like how to organize it and see it through and
mhm.
execute and stick to a timeline. Like, creators who like to be, I'm just going with the flow and like when the spirit hits me is when I'm gonna do this thing. And now I'm like, girl, open that Notion, get a sauna,
Just
let's make a
open
calendar.
Notion.
Like, send the email correctly with a signature. Put do the little things that really do make a big difference. So
They do.
I'm happy that I have both because you need both. You definitely need both.
Absolutely. So, saying your dreams out loud makes them feel real. What's a dream that you're speaking into existence right now?
Oh, so many
One
of
of
them.
them, right? One
Yeah,
of them.
I feel like a newer dream, I will say, is well, I'll give a work related dream and a non-work related because I feel like I talk
Yeah.
about work a lot. But I really do want to kind of bridge the gap between creative marketing agencies and record labels. I feel
Mm,
like record labels are kind of like a dying machine in the way that
mm,
of what they provide for artists is not as useful as it used to be, especially with social media and things like that. But I feel like the traditional kind of marketing agency is becoming more digital. So I just see that there's a connective point that I would love to get more into because I really do enjoy digital marketing. I really do enjoy, of course, no one wants their 9 to 5, but I really do love what I get to do at my 9 to 5.
oh,
So I really want to find ways to empower, especially like Black and Brown voices in marketing and creative marketing, digital spaces, and of course
mhm.
artistry. So that is a dream that I'm like, maybe I'll have my own agency soon. Maybe when I have the time and the energy.
Yeah.
That's like something I'm gonna keep it on the low, but we'll see how that develops. I really do want to do that. And then I'm just like a personal dream of mine that I'm working on. I definitely want to be more open to people. And it sounds weird because based on my social media, you would think like, oh, she's super open. She's always talking
Mm,
about what she's going through. But because I'm a Cancer, like I'm so used to solitude and I feel the most comfortable in solitude. But I
mm,
really want to focus on welcoming community in to my spaces
mhm,
and not keeping them at a distance, which is what I'm currently doing. I want to be able to
mhm,
like I want my friends to be able to pop over and I'm just like, oh yeah, come in and not like freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know. Like I can get
mhm.
very just
In your
touchy
head?
about my personal space. Yeah, and in my
Mm.
head. And I want to just be more like flowing with community around me. So those are like two things I'm working on.
That's really nice. What, again, I'm gonna probe, like, what actually has made you feel like I want community in my life more? Because it's
Yeah.
interesting for you to say that, like you said, we're gonna look at your social media and be like, oh my gosh, but she has so much community. But
Yeah.
what's making you feel like you want it to be a bit more personalized?
Yeah. I think because I am so hyper independent,
Mm,
I tend to approach everything with I'm going to have to figure this out. Like, I need to have the solution. I need to make the plan. I need to do this thing. And it tends to make the people around me, they understand that about me. And they're always like, you can bring me into this a lot sooner than you do. My dad tells me this all the time. He's like, if you need help, you don't have to wait until you're in crisis to
mm,
say, hey, dad, like, I'm here, and I know that there's a lot of my friends that feel the same way. They're like, you don't have to come to us once you figured the thing out and just tell us
mhm,
about how you got through. Like, you can kind of like let us be involved with when you're in the trenches. And I also want to allow myself to have a lot more help around me. I'm even thinking of having like a cleaning person in my apartment, which,
mm,
like I've been struggling with that, but I'm also like, I can't stay on top of cleaning stuff as much as I'm working. Like, I need help and I need people to be around me, and they need to know that. And it's gonna be messy and it's gonna be uncomfortable and I'm gonna have to not be in control, which I hate. I always want to be in control. But that's something that I feel like I need to unlock. And I can feel that
mm,
that is the thing that I hold back a lot because of that. And I
mm.
really want to experience a life where community is just more direct and involved, and I'm more direct in other people's lives as well.
And that definitely just echoes what you were saying at the beginning about leaning into asking for more help and
Yeah.
recognizing, your hyper independence and all of the things. So it is definitely an active dream because you're doing it. You're already doing
Thank
it.
you.
Last question. If you could give one piece of advice to Black women navigating growth, and whether that's personal or professional, what would it be?
Yeah. Oh, first, I just want to give us all a big hug because we need it.
Mm,
Just, I want to hug all Black women all the time. I think more than anything, we really have to be fearless in the pursuit of whatever it is that we want. And we cannot box ourselves into how those things are going to come to us. Because I know I have a lot of friends, like most of my friends, we're all Black girls. And so when we talk about our lives and what we want, we can be very like, I want this by this time. And then I want to do this with this person. And he's got to be this type
mm,
of person. Like we do that. And then we look at the world and realize like there is so many limited spaces that actually want to freely give us things and recognize us and make us feel safe. And so I've learned that your dream may be you living in Portugal next year. Like we don't know. Like I don't know what that's going to be, but if
mhm,
your dream is like I just want to own a home and feel safe, maybe that home is not in America. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. If you want to be in a relationship, maybe that person doesn't look like the person you thought it was going to be. Like
mm,
your job, maybe your job is not going to be you just being an entrepreneur, or maybe it's going to be a mix of things. Like I think we just have to not be our own no. Whatever it is, go after it. Be
yeah.
open to the ways that it can come to you, because it can happen in so many ways that you didn't even think it could happen. And we deserve kind of a multitude of receiving of things. So,
Mhm.
yeah, that'll be my advice for Black women. Go after it all and be open to it all.
Oh, I love it. Well, like I said, that was the final question. So thank you so much for your time. I feel like it's nearly been an hour. That went by so quickly.
It really did. I really enjoyed this conversation.
I'm so happy. And again, thank you so much for just carving out the time. Busy lady. And yeah, I hope that we get to speak soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
No worries. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.